Committee. Today is the 15th of January, and at this time, I detect a quorum.
Do you detect a quorum?
I thought is 5 a quorum?
4.
No,
No, it looks like 4.
It is 4.
Okay, sorry,
We are detected.
my mistake.
Oh, that's okay. I make them sometimes. All the time.
Sorry.
And no problem. I detect a quorum, so again, we just welcome you here. Again, today is the 15th of January, and we normally start with the elections and confirmations, but today we're going to start with the resolutions due to the fact that we have some wonderful people here that we will be in discussion about in just a moment. So at this time, we would like to call, let's see, we'll start with Councilman Glover, because he has another meeting. Is that okay with you? Councilman Glover, would you come? You can just come right up here.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay? And this is Resolution RS 2019-1565, and this refers to the rules confirmation of course elections, and it recognizes TriStar Energy for their continued support of the Nashville community and its organizations. Councilman?
Move approval.
Second.
You already said it.
Thank
All
you.
in favor? Aye.
Well,
Okay.
I was going to just say very briefly, I know you guys have a lot on your plate. I just want to thank Twice Daily, and we'll say it tonight on the floor, because they've stepped up to the plate for Box 55 to provide the money for diesel fuel, for I think the water and some other aspects of that.
Announced this before, right?
Yeah, but here's the resolution, and so and it keeps going what they're willing to do for Box 55. So I'm just grateful, and thank you, Madam Chair. So
Okay.
I think you've already voted. Am I
We
wrong?
have already
Okay. All right. Thank you for indulging me.
Okay, thank you so
Madam
much.
Chair.
Next, we'll have Councilman Withers. If you would come forth, please. Okay, for RS 2019-1566, you're going to stand in for Van Reese. We have Van Reese, Withers, and others. And this proclaims January the 21st through the 25th of 2019 as the No Name Calling Week in Nashville and Davidson County Schools. Could you speak to that, please?
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, committee members, for this. Councilmember Van Reese is the lead sponsor on this, and I'm a co-sponsor, and we have others, and I appreciate all the other co-sponsors joining. We all know that bullying is an ongoing problem in our society, and especially in schools, and we know how the effects of bullying and name-calling and other behaviors can affect a person's learning ability, their emotional well-being at that time, and throughout their life, sometimes just from things that happen at a young age. So this is somewhat of a national effort, actually. This was brought to the council by constituents, specifically by students and educators in MNPS and in the region, wanting us to go on record as also recognizing No Name Calling Week, wanting to continue working with our schools to work toward the end of bullying in MNPS schools.
Approval.
Second.
Well, I think that's a beautiful start, but I'd like to see you all continue. We have that 365 days out of the year of no name calling.
We do. Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we thank you so much.
Thank you.
And at this time, we would like to take a look at the late file, and that's by Withers, Councilman Withers. And it accepts a grant from the State of Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration to the Metro government, acting by and through the Nashville Career Advancement Center to serve youth and young adults with trauma. Could you speak to that?
Sure. Thank you. The Personnel Committee handles quite a few grants through the Nashville Career Advancement Center that allow those staff and agencies to benefit often folks that are seeking to enter the workforce or gain new skills. So usually these are a matter of routine before this body and elicit very little discussion usually, although there are sometimes differences. In this particular case, the state was very late in getting the information to Metro, and it is a time-sensitive grant, and so we do request the indulgence of the council to suspend the rules so that we can go ahead and get this, recognize this grant and keep that funding moving forward to benefit our citizens.
I'm okay with the rule.
Are you okay? Is everybody okay?
Suspension.
Me too. Nobody's has any problem? Okay, we thank you. Nobody
you.
has a problem with it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. At this time, we want to look at Resolution RS 2019-1564, and that's Council Lady Murphy. It honors the service of Senator Thelma Harper, the first African-American woman elected to the Tennessee State Senate and the longest-serving female state senator. Okay, I think it's self-explanatory.
I think it is very self-explanatory. This is, as y'all know, we started, I had the resolution for Speaker Beth Harwell. Tonight we have, I think, a presentation with Representative Sherry Jones, and then Senator Harper will pass that and then try to get that coordinated as well. And I haven't checked with rules completely, but I'm going to be asking the Vice Mayor either now to give me an answer. If it's no, I'll have to ask again or whatever. That everyone voting the affirmative be listed as co-sponsors.
Yeah.
Can I do that on the floor, or do I need it?
You can do that on the floor.
Okay,
All right.
that's because I want to make sure everybody gets included on this one, and just didn't get a chance to send it around, so I asked for your approval.
Okay.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's very important. 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, sir? That's it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have our elections and confirmations. We have the Community Oversight Board and the mayor's nominees. The appointment of Mr. Robert E. Cooper, Jr. for a term expiring on January 31st of 2020. Then we have the appointment of Ms. Phyllis Hillred. That name always just sounds so humongous to me. Hildred, for a term expiring on January 31st of 2020. Could you both come forward? We would like that. Ms. Hildred and Mr. Cooper. Okay, I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind. First of all, I'd like to know if you all are residents of Davidson County.
I am.
Okay, are you
Yes, I am.
You are? Are you registered voters in Davidson County?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
And I'd like to know if you serve on any other Metro boards or commissions in Metro?
Currently, no.
Currently, no?
Currently, no. I resigned last week from the Metro Human Relations Commission.
Okay, because I was wondering about that.
I thought I saw you before.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, okay. Well, in that case, we, again, this is the Community Oversight Board and the mayor's nominees, and I would just like, if you all would just be so kind to indulge us and tell us a little bit about yourselves. I don't know if we're going to go age before beauty.
Madam Chair, if I may, just before we
Okay.
start, just for the record,
Okay.
and for people who watch TV, General Cooper was my boss. He was Governor Bredesen's chief legal counsel, and I was the legislative counsel at TennCare for about 8 years. So General Cooper and Steve Elkins, I relied on them a lot for legal advice and how we wanted to proceed. So I just want to make sure everybody knew that before I voted on him, that that's who that is. So.
Is that like implying which way you're going to be
No,
voting?
but I think he's one of the most qualified people you could probably.
Thank you for articulating that, because I was like, okay, and so, okay, thank
Sure, I was his
you.
boss then, but
He wasn't my direct boss,
good
but I
working
Well, he's
relationship.
my constituent
Okay.
now, so
Yeah,
he's
there
my
you go.
boss now.
He's your yeah.
Okay. Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about your background? We have it here, but it's nothing like articulating it on your own terms.
Certainly. And let me say, I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you and also the opportunity of working on this important board that is being created. To give you a little bit of my background, and really it's also the genesis of why I'm interested and excited about serving on the Community Oversight Board, is that, as the councilman said, I worked in state government for a number of years, 4 years with Governor Bredesen as his legal counsel, and then 8 years as Tennessee Attorney General. In that context, I've developed certain areas of experience and expertise that I hope will be helpful to this board in pursuing its critical mission
Yes.
of providing oversight and greater public accountability with regard to the Metro Police Department. And there are going to be, I think, several important aspects to that. One, which is the experience that I've had dealing with government agencies. I understand how they operate. I've run a larger state agency, and so hopefully can bring that to the table as we look at how to bring this new board into existence and bring staff on and make it a functioning, vital program. In addition, I've worked quite a bit with law enforcement agencies, both in the Attorney General's office and in the Governor's office. We represented the state in all appeals of criminal convictions. We also served as counsel to the State Department of Safety, to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, provided legal advice to all those groups, the District Attorney's Conference, and so that gave me some exposure and experience to how those elements of law enforcement work. And then, as the State Attorney General, we had to deal with a lot of issues where we were working with the constitutional rights of the citizens as it relates to government. And so we did that in litigation. We did that in advising the state, advising our client, various departments and agencies. And we did that in the numerous public opinions that the office issued, particularly about legislation and how it might impact the constitutional rights of citizens, First Amendment, rights of speech and assembly, the Equal Protection Clause, due process. And hopefully all of that experience can be of benefit to this board as it gets going.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hildred?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, council members. I appreciate this opportunity to come before you. Listening to my esteemed colleague, I wonder what to add. My background, briefly, as a juvenile court public defender for the state of Maryland. Then for 10 years as an administrator for the Office of the Public Defender, also gave me an opportunity to learn how to participate in the administration and running of state government, particularly with emphasis to preparation and advocacy for budgets, and also representation before our state legislature with respect to matters of juvenile justice policy. Some of that occurred during the time when at the federal level the 1994 crime bill was passed, and we were on the front lines of having to respond immediately to its impact on our juvenile clients and also law enforcement and criminal justice at a local and state level. Following my work at the Office of the Public Defender, I then became a Deputy Secretary for our State Department of Juvenile Services, where it seems that in many ways I crossed the aisle from defense over to being a part of law enforcement and corrections. I worked in that capacity for 3 years, and then following that was named the inaugural managing director of the Baltimore City Juvenile Justice Center, where not unlike the Nashville Center, but much larger, we were responsible for moving in all of the youth-serving agencies into this one single building, the juvenile court for the entire city of Baltimore City, the arrest booking for every juvenile that was arrested by any law enforcement entity, and for those males who determined that they needed to be detained prior to their adjudication, they walked down the hall and stayed in my lovely 144-bed secure detention center that looks, if I may say, almost exactly architecturally like Unit 2 here at Riverbend Maximum Security Corrections Facility, where I now currently do participate in a team providing conflict management education to men who are awaiting the completion of their sentence on death row. Moving from working with youth, working with their parents on some of the worst circumstances of their lives, then moving into a situation where we were opening a correctional facility in the middle of a very proud but economically distressed and racially oppressed community in East Baltimore has given me more than a 360-degree opportunity to understand what this system does with, to, and for everyone it touches. And probably most important, to learn how to stand in the middle of the storm and to speak to everybody and help a learning conversation occur so that shared goals of mutual safety, respect, and dignity can be accomplished. These are the experiences I've had. This is the interest that brings me to this work. And I believe particularly starting off with the beginning of this work, the administrative insight and the opportunity to have worked on large systems at their very inception give us an opportunity to perhaps bring to this first class and this first year an opportunity to create structure, calm, and capacity so that those very, very important 7 members of our commission who will be truly members of the community, whether they were self-nominated, nominated by their organizations or their neighbors, may come in and do the work that is most important to them without having to be confused or constrained by what we know can be the very slow-moving machine of government. So thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to open it up to the committee members, and we have a question. You're recognized.
It's not really a question, it's just more of a statement. I just want to thank y'all
Yeah.
for serving, because we know how much of it, this is a burden. You don't have to do this, and y'all have decided to step forward and do this, and I want to thank the mayor's office for putting two such highly qualified individuals in front of us, because it's really nice to start off the committee with these type of people. And so I don't have any questions. I'd like to move for their approval, but obviously y'all might have questions. So.
Oh, okay.
I wanted you to have one.
Okay, I would just like to say I'm the vice chair, and our chair has joined us, and I'd like for her to come up. If you don't mind. That's okay. You're late with the purpose.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Okay, you're recognized.
I would just move for their approval, but I'm sure there's others that might have
Okay,
questions. So.
and I think you're...
Sure, I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
I have to echo. I mean, obviously, I have known General Cooper for a long time and think very highly of him. And I was like, I know you. So I'm glad we put that together. And I think your experience on that board obviously will also help shape, how boards and commissions in Nashville work. Taking this on, joining a board that, you're right, you don't know who else the almost 40 of us could come up with to join on the committee is quite a task. And so to be willing to step up and join that is commendable, because it is something new, something different for Nashville. I know Jacoby has done some more research in some other areas and learning best practices on what can go well, what could go wrong. I just have to thank you and commend you for, I think this is very courageous to be willing to do it, where I think a lot of other people who are equally qualified would be like, oh no, that's a daunting task. So thank you so much for being willing to serve us and doing this for us and for Nashville.
And I want to echo, and I am sorry I was late and I didn't get to hear everything, but already looking at what you all have passed in and everything, you are very fine candidates, and I am sure that you will do an excellent job, and thank you for stepping up.
Thank you.
Are there, that's a lady.
Yeah, and I echo all of the comments that's been shared. I had opportunity to look and read your backgrounds, and I know Ms. Hildreth. One thing I did want to ask, because a lot of the questions that I have and that I'm looking for in candidates is based upon some of the things that I heard in the community as to why they are interested in having a citizen review board. And one of the things that I heard them share with me is making sure that we have candidates that's had an opportunity to work in marginalized communities. And I know you've shared your experience, pretty thoroughly. And I was just wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing any experience that you've had either working on behalf of, with, or, any type of marginalized communities.
Sure. And yes, let me bring up a couple of things that I think respond to that. I've been involved with Room in the Inn here in Nashville as a board member since the mid-'90s, and I'm currently chairman of that board.
Okay.
And so I think that the work that that organization does with really some of the most marginalized members of our community is vitally important to this community. And it's been just inspiring to see not just the volunteer effort that goes into that, but how the clients of the organization respond to that. And so working with the organization and also working with my church, who's a participant in it, has, I think, been a great education for me about what the needs are of that community in Nashville. Also, as I mentioned in my application, in 2002, I went abroad with International Justice Mission to provide assistance. They work with oppressed and abused individuals throughout the world. We were sent to India and spent about a week and a half interviewing indentured workers, essentially bonded slaves, to take facts and affidavits from them and then get them freed from the debt that was keeping them basically enslaved. And that obviously was also an eye-opening experience. It is good to get out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And that certainly did that for me.
So it's the Room in the Inn and that international justice. Is there any other experience that you had working locally with some of the, inner city communities, impoverished communities, communities of color, just here locally, with the exception of Room in the Inn?
Those have been my two major activities. There have been some other organizations that I have been involved with over the past, and obviously as Attorney General we worked on programs and working with communities of color. Actually, I guess one other thing I would point out, I think this is in my application also, was for several years a board member of Legal Aid Society of Middle Tennessee and the Cumberlands.
Okay.
And so worked with people from all parts of Nashville who lacked resources to provide, to get legal counsel, and so we provided them with free legal counsel.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think both of you are very well qualified, and I'm glad that you shared that with us. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Council Lady.
Thank you. Well, I would like to echo everybody's, first thanking you because of your background and qualification, we feel extremely lucky to have you with inaugural board. My question to you is because I think our community has great expectation to this board, and as well as maybe there's some skepticism. So what do you think, what kind of aspect you need to make this board very, very successful and sustainable?
In preparing for this conversation, I came up with a number of phrases that I think really are touchstones that also speak directly to your question. And they are what brought me to this is that sense of fundamental fairness that we learned in law school and due process. And we were taught that 14th Amendment due process was not only notice and opportunity to be heard, but I think it should also include the opportunity to hear. So one central element that must be accomplished with this work is that everything be transparent. I believe that the vice mayor and the council have already done a tremendous job in this direction by standing up a website and by posting in a timely fashion almost every single document, form, schedule, list, question, and that would continue to need to happen so that persons who are feeling that there's fundamental fairness because they've had an opportunity to see and hear what is happening will be essential. That we all be committed to a sense of participatory justice and collaborative governance, sort of new buzzwords that are coming out in emerging forms of government, but they say almost what the young people are saying now, nothing about us without us. So that the way we do this work has to be with and about those who are on the receiving end of the criminal justice system, and with and about those who are on the protecting and serving end of the criminal justice system. So that sense of balance, transparency, and radical inclusion as we move forward with equity will be our best chance of being successful.
So I think that there are really two key functions to this new board in promoting greater accountability, and I think that accountability is crucial. I think we saw the importance that our community put on that in the vote on Amendment 1, and sent a clear message that that accountability is necessary for to enhance and sustain public confidence in our policing system. So those two aspects, which I think are important to our being able to build that that sense of confidence, is one, providing an independent and impartial venue where any aggrieved citizen can come forward and voice their complaint and be heard, and then know that this board will conduct a thorough investigation and, where necessary and appropriate, make disciplinary recommendations or referrals to other enforcement agencies. But I think another part of the charge of the board, which is critical, is to provide policy recommendations on public safety and the administration of justice. And I say that's critical because it provides an opportunity to have an impact not just on an individual complaint, but to provide an opportunity to get community input on the policies and procedures of the department, and perhaps eliminate circumstances that are generating those complaints. And I think that those policies and procedures will be have greater support among the public, be better received to the extent that they reflect the community needs and community views. Now, I agree fully with Phyllis on the need for transparency here, that our board obviously will be transparent, but I hope the board will encourage the police department to provide more public access to and openness to its policies and procedures. And I think that, again, will help enhance public acceptance and cooperation, because ultimately, successful policing has to be a cooperative venture between the police and the public. And so I think we hopefully will be able to, by doing our job, enhance that cooperation by providing a sense of greater accountability.
Councilman Mendez?
The questions from the last two council members sort of got to the questions I was going to ask, so I'm going to make this as a comment instead. I hear in both of your comments the idea of balance, which I think, and the transparency is critically important. I think one of the risks I perceive is that with the election, it's easy to see the board is a mandate directed toward more transparency from the police department. But one of the things you mentioned is equally important. There's a part of the community that feels like that this is going to end up being railroading police officers, and all the routes on the flow chart end up with a police officer being in trouble. And the biggest challenge I think y'all are going to have is accomplishing the transparency that was clearly desired by the people, the majority of the citizens who voted for it, while at the same time continuing to celebrate the risks that police officers take, and that their loved ones don't know whether they're coming home at night, and making sure that they're both in fact and in perception. It's just not all routes in the flow chart lead to a police officer being in trouble. And I think balancing those things is going to be difficult, especially when, at least initially, the mandate seems to be clear that it's toward greater transparency, but I think it's going to take just as much effort to balance the other side of the equation, so the public perception from everybody is that radical inclusiveness really is for everybody. So I really appreciate your answers to the questions, and glad you guys are willing to serve.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment. If each of you would just complete this statement, okay? Just complete this statement. Before I leave today, I would just like for you all to know, I would like for the community to know.
I guess I'd like for the community to know that I think that this board is a great opportunity, that this is going to be a real challenge to create a new board from scratch, and that it's going to require hard work. It's going to require the balance that Councilman Mendez talks about. But I think there's a great opportunity here. I think there's a great opportunity for this to be a model for other cities in the nation about how the community and the police department can cooperate together to achieve better policing. So I guess that's what I would hope to come out of this.
Thank you. Dr. Hildred, I would like for the community to know.
I would like for the community to know that you have questioned us and we have answered from our professional persona and experience. But I would like for you to know that I also sit here as the mother of a soldier who went as an enlisted soldier for 15 months in Iraq. And I had to worry about whether that child would come home. And recently served for a year in Korea, about 10 miles from the DMZ. And I had to worry about whether that child would come home. I am the mother of an African-American boy. He was a boy when we moved here 15 years ago. Learned to drive here. Comes back and visits us now that he's a young man. And I have to worry whether he will come home safe. I'm married to an African-American man who was in this chamber with me. And I have to worry that when he does not have his suit and tie, but when he has his overalls on going to Home Depot, as he loves to do in his old truck, that he too will come home safe. I worry. I sit with so many in this community on all sides of this question, where we all wonder whether those who serve and whether those who simply live will be safe. So I hope this community knows that I take this charge of holding for shared safety with the utmost concern and care. Thank you.
I will renew our motion for approval.
Second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded for the Oversight Board's appointment of Robert E. Cooper, Jr. and Mrs. Phyllis Hildred. All those in favor, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. It is unanimous. Thank you so very much for serving.
Very excellent choice.
Free parking.
Oh, thank you. That was
Free parking, that's what you get.
Okay, thank you.
Is there, excuse me,
Thank you
is
very
there
much.
any more business before this?
Vice Mayor.
Oh, please, Vice Mayor, would you please come up?
Are you on this committee again? Is that-
Yeah, I
You couldn't leave us. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, before we get to that, there is one rule change, and I think the only person in here who actually has it is,
I think it was passed around at the last meeting. It has been amended a little bit, but I think we were supposed to talk about it today in the committee, but what I believe has happened is that there's been some discussion with the administration on certain parts of it that they may not be able to do, and so we're still kind of working through that. So what we're going to do today is just move it one meeting, so I would just hope that we could, I guess, get a motion, just a recommendation from this committee to move it one meeting so we can kind of work out some language, and then we can present it at the next
Motion.
meeting.
So moved.
And
Wait for
it
a
has
second.
been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Then that has been done.
okay, before you all leave, first of all, I wanted to say thank you because I'm giving you all, without really asking, I give you all a lot of responsibility over the next couple of days. So these two were, obviously, you can bring them in, the only two nominated by the mayor. There was a memo that went out today that tells you the number of people that are coming through. I think it's 156 people will be coming through here tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow, 5:30 to 7:30 on Thursday, and 1 to 4 on Saturday. Saturday, let me just remind you that there's an inauguration of a new governor that's going on down the street at Public Square. Starts at 11 o'clock. And there's a women's march that is going to start here at 12 o'clock in the Public Square. So we're still working on logistics about how to make sure that everybody gets into the building. What I wanted to do was make sure that everything is clear about how the chairs and the vice chairs are going to run these meetings. So because of the nature of this, we said everybody is allocated to 10 minutes. If you start going over that, then you're going to be here for a very, very long time. And if you go over it, other people can come in and go, well, wait a minute, I want to spend more than 10 minutes. So my request to the chairs or the vice chairs or whoever is running the meeting, because if the chair and the vice chair of your special committees can't be there, you're going to have to assign somebody just to kind of run it. I'll be here. I'm happy to step in if you need to, but you probably need to ask someone to keep a timer at 10 minutes, and then you need to cut it off at 10 minutes. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
By any chance, did you get our bells?
I have not gotten the bells
Or
yet,
whatever.
but we had talked about having somebody
Or
with a
buzzer.
phone just record, start it right at 10 minutes and go. And when it's 10 minutes, you can let them finish the sentence, but then you need to say thank you for being here and then escort out. If you get too far over that, if too many questions, you really are going to we said everybody gets 10 minutes. Now, also remember that when the individual people come in, they've seen the 3 questions they're supposed to ask. So you don't have to ask whether they're a registered voter. You don't have to. They're supposed to reside in Davidson County, and they can't be a law enforcement officer or an elected official. You can check on that, but that should be on the form.
I would like to suggest, just as you're talking about, since you're talking about that piece of it now, and since that we will be the chairs, I would like to suggest that my committee meeting members choose someone, because this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose someone on the committee to be the timekeeper, because it's going to be hard for you to keep the time and run the meeting as well. And I would also like for you maybe to talk at the beginning with your committee about how it's going to go. And I know you said not many sentences over, but I'm just going to say how I'm going to ask my timekeeper to do it, because some people can make one sentence into a long one by not breathing and pausing.
Right.
So to keep it fair, I'm going to ask, and I will tell my folks at the beginning so that they won't be offended when we say, Tom, I'm so sorry you have to stop, because you want to be fair to everybody. So however you all, if you want to do something different with yours, then that's fine. But whatever you do, you have to make sure that you are consistent, please, and do the same, and maybe have that conversation with your folks
and somebody got after me about saying this word folks so much, but with your other subcommittee people so that they'll know what's going on and be aware of what the ground rules are. You might want to go over some ground rules really quickly so that everybody that's in there will know what's going on when, if somebody wants to, one of your committee members wants to keep asking something or pushing something because the people finished early. And Mr. Vice Mayor, I think we also had a conversation about, say somebody says everything that they want to in 8 minutes, and they have finished, and there's no pressing questions. We don't want the committee to feel like they have to ask a question. That might be a good yawn break or something, or just a stretch, but they don't have to.
That's right.
Do that.
So again, remember, people are going to come in here. So let's just play this out a little bit. So if you talk to the candidate about, 5 minutes worth of stuff, you just took 5 minutes away from their time. So what you really want to do is introduce you don't even have to introduce yourself, because that takes away from their time. The chairman says, welcome, John Smith. We're glad you're here. The floor is yours. And if they go, well, what are my questions? You'll have your 3 questions. You can say you need it. But everybody was told what the 3 questions are. So my guess is that some people are going to come in here with a presentation for 10 minutes. Other people may talk for 3 or 4 minutes. That's fine. If you have questions for Mr. Smith, ask them. You can go around the room. But if nobody has any questions, then that's okay. You can let them leave. Yeah.
I have a question. As I peruse the committee, is there anyone here that's not clear about what our charge is as chair and vice chair? Are you all not clear about what it is we're supposed to be doing? Does anybody have any questions about what it is that we're supposed to be doing?
I feel good.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I feel good about
Yeah.
what our charge is.
And I'll make a recommendation that whoever is the vice chair, then they can just keep the time and just sit up at the front.
You're wrong.
Yeah, I have a little bell that goes.
I'll let her be the mean one.
Yeah.
But I know how to, we can, tastefully and.
Yeah.
and,
I would like to
just let them know.
suggest,
You're not going
like a card, like a 30 seconds card, like a 30 seconds, warning.
I think it'll flow a lot better than what we're anticipating personally.
I think it will too, and
I do too.
I just want to say that I think we got this.
But I do have
Questions?
a logistic question, because we do each, a committee room have about 25 to 30, candidates. We will be meeting in, like tomorrow. So how will they be waiting? First person comes 10 minutes. Where's the second person will be? Do we have to call up on the person's name, or is there any
Here's how it's going to work. It's going to be, we're going to have somebody stationed at the front entrance, okay? So, 4 candidates come in at 5:30, or they should come in a little bit before then. So, whoever, let's say it's me sitting at the front desk. It's like, okay, here comes John Smith, committee room 1. And you send everybody to the right committee. The next group comes in. I think the idea is we're going to have a chair right outside of this room, okay? I don't think the idea is to have another candidate come in here and sit and watch the first candidate if we can help it.
Yeah.
The meetings are public, though. But we would have the next candidate sitting right there. So as soon as that first 10 minutes is up, Councilmember Dowell says, thank you for being here. We appreciate it, and you escort them out, bring the next person in and sit down. It's going to be very, very quick, and you're going to be flowing through this very, very fast. Again, some people know that they've got 10 minutes, and they may take up the entire time. Other people may not. But we're going to be helping you get people in and out of here. So, tomorrow will be a little bit of a test because we haven't done it before. But we're going to be moving people in and out of here as quickly as possible. We understand your time commitments, 5:30 to 7:30. We want to try to keep it to that so we can get you out of here, because then you got to come back the next day too.
That's good.
The only, let me think if there's anything else. Again, they got the 3 questions. Some may come in with, a full presentation. If there's a question, we'll be here, so just ask. Remember, there's really only limited parameters, okay? You can't have been within law enforcement for the last 5 years, or married to somebody who's that, or you can't be an elected official or married to somebody like that. You don't have to, again, they have to be a Davidson County resident. You can look at the file. Everybody should be a Davidson County resident. So you don't have to ask the 3 questions, okay? And then I think the only other thing is, I had another question in there someplace. All we're doing is vetting them through. If there's an issue, like if all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, you've been in law enforcement the last 5 years, that may be an issue, let us know, and then we'll deal with that. But what you're trying to do is say, okay, we're listening to your arguments about why you want to serve on this Community Oversight Board, okay? And I'm sorry, I think.
Yes. Do we have the questionnaire? Is it online? Do we have access prior to our interview?
That's the thing I was going to tell you.
The notebook?
So everybody has access, I think, to all the information, and Mr. Jameson's back here. You can pull up everything you want online, and if you want to bring your laptops, you can do it. Every subcommittee will have a copy of every questionnaire in a book form for the people coming through here. So you'll have one copy. If we made everybody a copy, it would be like 20,000 pieces of paper. So everybody will have not only a notebook with all the questionnaires, but also a notebook with all the nominations.
Every single committee room will have one.
One book.
We'll have one. You'll have one. So you can share it, you can pass it around. But if you have a laptop and you want to bring it, you can also do it that way, okay? Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay. Again, I very much appreciate you all doing this because you were the ones I was going to have to count on.
And you have 2 more questions?
Sure.
No, I was just going to make a recommendation that, we're going to have to go through so many candidates. It might warrant, and this is just a recommendation that I got from some of the other cities who went through the same process, is to bring you some type of note and scoring sheet. I went through some of the NOAA comments and the things that I heard from the public about what they're looking for in a civilian oversight board. And I also, even though the criteria in the legislation was just a couple of things, we did hear some things that they talked about, and that was from our conversation about people who have had experience dealing with marginalized community, having somebody with a policy background, like the different aspects of it, so that we're able to, take some notes and score, because I do think once we vet everybody, we're going to see some top competition as far as meeting the criteria and add value. I think the challenge that probably we're going to have is kind of sorting through and pairing through all those people to pick,
That's why we had 10 people to pick.
So you're going to have, after these 2, you've got 9 people to pick.
Yeah,
That's hard.
that's what I'm saying with the 100. So I think it will
We don't have
help.
an HR department just weeding everybody out.
Right.
And bringing us a
It
couple
would
people,
help to
you know what I mean?
have.
We had some conversation about that some. And I think what came out of that conversation was that you may want to have your own kind of because, everything we do is public. So you have to walk a fine line. I mean, we don't want to discourage anybody or that kind of thing. So you may want to just kind of figure out how you are going to do that in your head.
Well, my point was bringing it up is that we're picking 9 people eventually. So when all 152 come on the floor, each one of us need to have some logic and rhyme and reason between who we decide to choose. One of the challenges and one of the situations I see right now, like Charlotte is an example, is that when they're going through the process now of establishing better criteria about how they select their board. And one of the things was after they went through all these people originally, figured out, just pick these people, they said, well, there was some bias in who they chose, so people were not able to. So I plan just to have me a little sheet there, so when I look at some of the things that I heard them say, that I'm able to speak with some knowledge of that person other than this is the name and whatever.
You can
and
qualify your
I can qualify it, and that, I'm not recommending, violating any type of sunshine laws that's colluding together saying these are the 3, but it's just a matter of, I think, for our own protection and long term, that we have some type of of something to help you after everything is selected, say that, the reason why I chose this person was because this person could add this value to it based upon this criteria. It's more for your own personal protection, because you don't want to come back and people say, well, you picked that person because they're in your district or whatever, but you've taken some notes and have some basis for who you're supporting and the reason why. And it's just something to help us all, just a piece of advice.
And the names will be in the categories, correct? Okay.
The names will be in the categories of who self-nominated and community organizations, and then council members. And one other quick thing, and then
Lower economic.
economically distressed will also be in there. So Mr. Jameson is behind me, so just make sure we're clear on this. You're all going to see, every group is going to see a limited number of people. You can't see, you're not going to see, unless you watch them all on television, you won't see everybody. There are going to be people, I believe, that all of us may have never met before. And so there are going to be people coming through, and you may find candidates in your particular subcommittee that you just go, wow. They have it, they have the background, they know exactly. Because we don't have, this is not a pending legislative matter in terms of legislation, you can share information. And Mr. Jameson can either nod his head or what, but we've talked about this, and the idea is that I think it's fair that if John Smith comes before the chair lady's committee, and you're going like, this person has background, they know how to do this, you can share it with other people on different committees and say, you ought to take a look at their video. They were very strong. Now, we're not ranking people as they come out of here, but you're going to find people that you may have never met before that really are very, very good for this, and it's okay to share because we can't get everybody in all of these committees.
Well, that's good to know.
Okay.
And I think there was another question or comment.
Thank you. So how we're going to vote, when's that coming together?
That's going to be, so we're still working on it. We're fairly close. Probably in the next day or two, we're double checking a couple of things, and then we will send out another one of my 3-page memos, and it will explain it. But we're trying to be very careful so we can get this right, get the fill down, and that we won't be there for, until 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I will tell you, one of the reasons we picked January the 22nd is because if we walk in, we've never done anything quite like this. If we get in there and it's like, we have made a big mess of this is not working, we have the ability to defer until January 29th to get it straight. But we've been working through it. We've been trying to look at how do you vote, how many times do you vote, that type of thing. One of our problems is we don't have enough room on the board to be able to put everybody's name on, so we're trying to figure that one out. I would think by Thursday we'll have it. Okay.
If you get through all this with no problems.
That's amazing to me. That's great.
Are there any
I'm
other
not sleeping
questions?
at night.
Any other questions or comments for the Vice Mayor?
Thank you all again for doing that.
Is there any other business that needs to come before this committee? I would entertain a motion. Motion to adjourn. Second, all those in favor? Aye. All against? You are so adjourned.
Is it you're amazing or he's amazing?